Willkommen, bienvenue, and welcome to ERO's F3 Championship. It's round 10 of Season 6, and we're heading out to the Cathedral of Speed, Monza, where we will expect to see, I imagine, quite a few non-finishes tonight. We've got 15 drivers taking qualifying. Hopefully, we'll see some more joining during that period. But for our championship situation, we've got a non-start tonight from Kones, our championship leader, who on 4 wins and 2 second places currently sits on 152 points. Pangrio winning the last race out in Portugal with three third places and 2 wins to his name, is in second place with 106 points. And in third place in the championship is Edzak, who has just 3 third places to his name with a string of positive points finishes, leaving him on 78 points in third place in the championship. I'll talk you through the constructors situation as well. We're getting towards the business end of this championship, of course. Right now, McLaren lead the way, having 208 points and are 70 clear of the second place Ferrari team, with Alfa Romeo in third on 112, and then on 103 in fourth place is the AlphaTauri team. But this could all, of course, change. I think we're actually expecting our 2 key championship leaders to not show tonight. So that's definitely going to open things up a little bit and hopefully tighten up the championship. We've got people stressing somewhat about the prospect of racing around Monza, as you would well expect. And like I say, usually it claims a lot of victims, particularly on the famous Ascari corner, where things often go wrong to drivers in league racing. It's a nasty corner that bites and claims many drivers race. I've seen people crash from the lead on the last lap going through Ascari as the tyres start to fade. Oh, just to add into a little bit of fun here, we've got rain for qualifying. So that's definitely going to be interesting. Now, if it dries up, the better opportunities will be at the end of the session. But if it stays like this, it'll just mean running around on inters or full wets, looking at the puddles in the pit lane, who will potentially have their issues. So there might just be a case of driving around, fully fueling the car, putting a wet setup on if the race is due to be wet. And yeah, I think Giroud is planning to uninstall the game. Looking at this, similar for Waffles, who doesn't like the look of this. I don't know if that's just racing chat, but we'll wait and see, I guess. Miguel fancies a run, so he's gone out there to have a look at everything. I'll set the tyres in just a second. Let me just message the drivers. Welcome if you're joining us on the stream. You're very welcome. Say hello, make sure we know that you're here and who you're cheering on. If you're one of the drivers and your name doesn't match, please let me know who you are and I'll try and remember. But intermediate tyres seem to be the order of the day for the first qualifying runs, at least. It's not impressing our drivers at all. Despite Waffles saying that he was off and I think Giroud planning to uninstall the game. I think it was just chat. I think they were joking and they're heading out there on outlaps for us. I think it's panicking the boss a little bit, but I think they're okay. So a lock-up on the way into the final corner, Parabolica Alboreto, for this year only, I believe, for Miguel in the Alfa Romeo, one of the home teams, and away down the start-finish straight. That will affect his run, but he will obviously have to brake a little earlier, and he might well need to set all big under rotations going on. He's got the car to the apex safely, but The car really locking up those fronts, had to come off a couple of times the brakes on the way through the Rettifilio chicane, and now we head through Curva Grande. Normally this is fully flat. I imagine with a wet setup it should be easy to control in the wet as well. Again, needs to wind that brake bias back, but he gets through Rettifilia. De La Roggia, he's managed to hit every apex. Now it starts to tell as we go through the Lesmos. Lesmo 1 safely through, won't be able to take liberties with the apex of Lesmo 2. Yeah, treating the track very, very carefully, and is being cautious with his braking points, cautious with his use of the outside edges of the track, just flirting with the white line there as he goes into Ascari. Will he come out the other side safely? Again, just being very, very gentle. Just kept a wheel on the inside white line and managed to avoid another driver. I don't think this one's going to be quick, but it's going to be safe, hopefully, through into the Parabolica for the final time. Tiny kick of oversteer as he just didn't wait quite long enough to balance the car. Away then, full throttle now to the line, 8th gear, and it's a 29.8, so a slow time, but let's see if everybody else can get through their early laps cleanly. We'll follow Jesper Fay there. Welcome to R08 Racing, joins us in the chat, good friend, also very talented graphic artist. If you're interested, he did my graphics, and you can look him up, and I'm sure he'd be more than willing to help out if that's what you need. Jesper Fay, the first victim of Ascari we've seen so far anyway. Edzak in second, Supermug in third. Not seen Supermug before in F3. I wonder if he's just reserving tonight. But we'll follow along with Jason in the Mercedes and see how he's getting on here. He's on a lap. 15 drivers, yes, unfortunately. I don't know if the choice of tracks, Hater Hector, nice for you to join us, but yeah, it might be that Monza discouraged the drivers from taking part. I don't really see why, but there you go. It's a thriller minute. Jason invalidating through Ascari, and another victim. And how can Maciek do in the home Ferrari? We've got a car crashed out. It's Waffles out. We saw him just flash by on the way out of Rettifilia before Curva Grande, and he's out of the race. Nice pole going in from the boss, who's given you a poll to who do you think is going to win tonight. Well, having just seen Waffles do that, I guess that's going to be one answer for you. Banks to Maciek will have the home advantage. Of course, the Ferrari engine's always turned up for Monza. Joking, obviously, all our drivers are on equal performance. We've got Goldzik disqualified from the session for a parking in a dangerous position, so he'll start at the back, so rescuing Waffles from the ignominy of the very back of the grid. Maciek just treading super carefully through Ascari. Can he keep this one planted? He just about lifts out of the throttle enough through Ascari to maintain his lap time, and we'll see if he survives Parabolica Alboreto. Let me see. I think I'll place a vote as well and see what happens. Jason restarting a lap, it looks like, with Maciek only managing a 130.8, so maybe just running round to get the tyres into an operating temperature. Pachuca has gone first. Big moment for Jason on the way out of Parabolica. Edzak is in second with Miguel. We watched his first lap. Then Ivan Beloff in fourth. Giroud has got a lap together and gone in P1 provisionally on a 29.4. That was a handy lap from Giroud. Let's see who else have we got crossing the line at the moment. Is that Casper has just started. Banks similarly just got his first sector time in, so it went purple, and that was the way it was. But Pachuca a new pole, a 1:29.0. So the time's coming down. I think the track is drying a little bit, certainly on the racing line. And the times, the drivers getting comfortable, know what they're doing. Apparently we are due for a very wet race, so it's going to be dangerous out there. Racing Gus is now finishing off his lap here in the Alfa Romeo. Let's see what he can hook up. Again, you can see just how cautious the drivers are needing to be, but no front locking as we saw on our first driver's lap. Racing Gus goes in P6, so we'll see what Bankst is up to. Another championship contender, but unfortunately has invalidated. I would have to suspect through Ascari. Who else is out there lapping quickly? We've got Giroud. He's on an in lap, I believe, similar to Ivan Belov. So the drivers not wanting to just keep running on these inters. Some of the drivers just heading back in, putting a new set on. Maciek through Lesmos, struggling big time. I don't think this one's going to be a very special lap. But Supermug in the Mercedes gets a purple third sector and up to P3, so a successful lap from him. Let's have a look at Casper. How's he getting on so far? Casper breaking down then into De La Roggia. Certainly not an ideal line. Oversteer on the way out. Very, very difficult to get this car under control. Into second Lesmo. So we head down now to Ascari, waiting for the braking point, hoping to try and get this lap completed. Oh, running wide, and it's gone again from Casper. He'll be super frustrated at that situation. Further back on the track we've got, so Casper obviously finishing up his lap. Is that Racing Us? No, I think it might be Maciek. No, it was Bankst. Okay, I'm just trying to find the driver about to finish a lap. It's Miguel. So Miguel to the line, a 29.104, a new second place, good enough time. But Pachuca's dropped the bar once again down to a 28.680, and absolutely maximising this one. Miguel's really struggling with those front locking. If he doesn't change his brake bias before the race, he's going to have murdered front inters here. Racing Us is on another lap, but it's a lot slower than he's been before through the first sector. Sorry, through the second sector, I should say. So might not be making the most out of this one. What about Koizachi? We haven't seen him yet. He's invalidated his time. Jason then into De La Roggia. Didn't get his sector, unfortunately. I'm hoping we will see at least 15 cars take the start. Place your bets now, how many cars will finish. That'll be another good poll to run when the first one has expired. How many finishes will we see in this race? Give us a percentage or a whole number finisher. Oh, sideways drifts through Ascari. Jason holding on. He has to bank this lap. He has to get a time in there. Pachuca still on pole from the two Alfa Romeos. Miguel from Racing Us, and then Giroud in the Red Bull, which is not blue this month. Jason for the line then, 29.9. It's a lap. It's not setting the world alight, but it is a lap, and it will be off the back of the grid at least for him. Let's ride with Giroud then, who starts his next attempt. We'll get a timing update shortly near the bridge. It's 4/10 faster than he's been before. Giroud in fourth at the moment. He needs a good chunk of time to get himself up there on the front row, but this could put him at the head of the 29s and get him at least one place. We'll see how the rest of the lap goes. Looks like a dry line starting to develop. He won't thank Miguel for crawling around like that on the racing line on the way out of Lesmo 2, but thankfully the car had ghosted so he could focus ahead into Ascari, and an invalidation despite a purple middle sector. Giroud unfortunately not making the most of that one. Miguel is taking a gravel tour of Ascari. I don't know if that's just shortcutting or an accident. Edzak with half a second faster so far on the previous lap, but only P8 at the moment. Edzak needs a good finish tonight for the AlphaTauri team, for the sake of the championship, for both championships really, and with the championship leaders out of the picture tonight, it's a golden opportunity for the drivers to maximise their points. Quarter of a second faster so far for Edzak. Again, needs quite a big chunk to move himself up the grid, but only 1/10 will get him at least a P7. Looks like Pachuca still running quickly, still in on provisional pole. We see is that Jesper Fay in the white Red Bull going P3 now, 29.0 on the bubble of the 28 club, which so far only has 2 members. Edzak 6.5 tenths faster than he's been before. This should be good for him if he can make a similar kind of gain. Very clean through Ascari, perhaps not super fast, but very clean and able to get on the throttle early for this long straight into Parabolica Alboreto. He goes, taking a fairly wide exit line just on the limit of adhesion. You can just see the back wanting to step out, and we head towards the line. Edzak P3 at 28.8, a monster of a final sector, and indeed there you go, it's purple on the track map. Beautiful stuff from Edzak, exactly what he wants to be starting high up there in the order. Casper has got a lap together and gone P4, so brilliant stuff. He can now push on his final couple of attempts. You would think Giroud has gone P2 on a 28.131, very close to Pachuca's time, but not quite there. Pachuca just on an outlap and looking to start another one. Racing us, heading through Ascari, then an invalidation through Ascari, and how many times have we seen that already tonight? What about Supermug? He's just navigating Parabolica Alboreto for the next attempt. Got 2.5 minutes of qualifying left to go before the checkered flag, and P6 for Supermug now. The lap time's starting to tumble. Drivers really attacking this final portion of qualifying. Still to put in a time though is Kaizachi and Banks, but Pachuca from pole position heading through the Lesmos. What has he got? Can he extend that gap? No, he can't. An accident. Out of qualifying goes Pachuca. A yellow flag triggered through the Lesmos, and Pachuca pushing hard to try and navigate and get another lap in and a better time. He will not go no faster than a 28.110, and a big job for his mechanics as they will try and get the car ready for the race tonight. Edzak on a slow charge lap there. What about Casper? He starts a new lap right now. Kaizachi has got a 30.621 as his best time. We've got times from everybody so far as Banks goes P10 next to his teammate, but Ferrari near the top of the championship looking to try and gain positions tonight, with the head McLaren driver of Konis missing. They'll need a better start position than 10th and 11th, though of course this is really just bragging rights, this session, with the rain, with the threat of many DNFs to come. You can tell. I think Waffle's asking who's got wet setups on. I mean, if the race is predicted to be wet, surely everybody's got a wet setup on, right? High downforce for the majority of the drivers. Whether they'll tell you the truth or not is another matter. Giroud's in the pits. I don't think we'll tackle another lap. Casper from P6 will see his lap close out, and I think perhaps it's Edzak just behind him on the track. So Casper through the Parabolica. Giroud frustrated to be so close to pole. Casper crosses the line. A small improvement, but not a lot, as Edzak up to P4 with another fastest final sector. All these drivers can afford to go again because the checkered flag hasn't fallen just yet. Is that Racing Us? No, it's Miguel about to finish a lap. Miguel, no improvement. This time 10 seconds to go now before the end of the session. Maciek crosses the line, 0.4 of an improvement, no improvement in his grid position. Banks, I think, just managed to start his lap, so he'll be pleased to be in that position. Finishing up though, I think is Racing Us. Yeah, Racing Us is just closing out his lap. Banks has retired from the session, can't do any better. I think must have missed the checkered flag potentially. And away down to finish off the lap. Oh, a nice late time from Racing Us, P6. Further back we've got Ivan Belov coming towards the line. This will be when the track is at its absolute best. How does he cross the line? Boom, up to P5 for Ivan Belov. Beautiful stuff. Further back though, I think we've got Kaizachi about to cross the line straight up to P5. Wow, what a finishing melee for the Haas driver. What a great finish for Kaizachi, floating around the bottom of the order all the session, and then right when it counts puts in a time. Casper in P4, a similar story really for him. What about Edzak? He's on the way into the pits, unfortunately. I think Miguel, he's invalidated sadly, so Miguel will not be able to challenge towards the end of this lap. But Maciek, similarly, I think unlikely to better his time. Will he? Oh, just up to P10, the worst place to start a race in P10, although of course if it is wet it doesn't really concern the drivers. It looks like everybody who is going to set a lap has set a lap, and that's the way qualifying went down with Pachuca, Giroud and Miguel, your top three. Beautiful stuff. I'll take you through the order very shortly, but we have Goldzik being disqualified. Waffles got a time in, but it wasn't particularly strong, and those guys will start right from the back. Pachuca with a job to do for the McLaren team to tidy up that McLaren no end, but starting from pole will certainly help. At 128.110 from a 128.131, 200th of a second gap at the front despite the conditions, and really good field spread here in times. Pachuca, Giroud, Miguel, I've already mentioned, and then Casper, Edzak, Kaizachi, Ivan Belov, Supermug, Racing Us, Maciek, Jesper Bankst, Jason, Waffles and Goldzik will be your starting order for the feature race today. I'll be right back with you. back with Webbo, and it's formation lap time here in the 10th race of our season around Monza. In the wet, I can see, I think that's soft tyres on the pole sitter though. So the driver's expecting the track to start drying up potentially, but let's see how that one works out. I don't know if the rain has started or is drying, but there's some puddles there between the Della Roggia and the first Lesmo, so that's definitely going to be an issue for our drivers as they start this race. It does look a bit too wet for those tyres, so let's see. Make sure that you've liked today's video. Qualifying was certainly entertaining enough to give us a thumbs up, wasn't it? And make sure you subscribe to the ERO channel, races throughout the week. And if you like the commentary, you can follow me on Twitter at WebsterRed5, and you'll see every time I go live. I don't post very much, so I'm not going to spam you. Pachuca with the lead from Giroud and Miguel, as already mentioned. Then Casper in the Aston Martin, Edzak for AlphaTauri with a Kaizachi between him and his teammate Ivan in 7th, and Supermug racing us and Maciek in 10th. In the home track for Ferrari. Then Jesper Fay, Bankst, Jason and Waffles disqualified from the session and qualifying, or DNF'd, so there's no practice on these conditions, with Goldzik at the back of the grid looking to make up places. We've got 15 starters for you. How many people will finish? The predictions have come in, and we've just got someone else being the majority predictor. I think just Hector has said Pachuca's going to win this one. Obviously he's in the best place to start, but potentially the hardest place to make a decision on tyres. So we'll see him on that one. In terms of tyres, just Jesper Fay bucking the trend and going for mediums where everyone else is on softs. But the rain is falling fairly steadily, so the first lap is going to be key for our drivers. How are they going to tackle this one? Tell me, how many people are going to finish this race? What's your bet? Coninas says Pachuca. Sorry, that's Conis. So Pachuca is his bet to take the race. But the start lights are on, and they'll be getting away very soon. It's lights out and go, go, go for ERO's F3, race 10 in Monza. Pachuca struggling away from the line. We've got a Haas. Is that? Oh, Kaizachi hitting the wall and has at least got some damage, if not terminal. But whoa, big moment there for Mercedes. I think it's Supermug getting shot right across the entrance to the first corner. I think this is just the problem with the cars trying to get the cars stopped down. It's a virtual safety car already. It looks like Casper going incredibly slowly there on the field and just trying to get under his delta, but all action at the front, as we saw Kaizachi and Waffles, the Haas pairing, having a terrible time. But it's Jason at the back of the grid now, and Supermug. So Haas, and let's see what the weather looks like on board. We got rain coming through. The virtual safety car, I wonder how long it's going to stay with us. Pachuca in first, Giroud in second, so Miguel having a bit of a problem. Edzak and Ivan Beloff moving up, but for Mercedes and Haas, the worst possible start of this race. Incredible stuff. Gustav says Casper will be going for the win today. Well, he's in 6th place right now and looks very slow on the VSC instigation. We'll have a look at the cars at the back of the grid and see what they're looking like as things stand. Waffles looks relatively complete. Supermug definitely not. Missing a front wing, so is Kaizachi. Jason just gets by, so it looks like the Mercedes at the back of the grid doing okay here. The cars go through, we go green. This time it's Giroud trying to get an overlap on the McLaren. They will go side by side as they head down towards the Retifilia chicane, the first set of corners on the lap. Big inside lockup for Pachuca as Ivan Beloff overshoots the corner, has to feed back in. Will probably get warnings for that, but he's fed back, allowed his teammate and Miguel back. The driver's struggling massively around the corner. You can see Pachuca going wide through Curva Grande. This is going to mean he's on the inside, going into the Retifilia chicane, and just has his nose cut across by Giroud. Fair manoeuvre, but he didn't manage to keep the place. In terms of fair manoeuvres, that's not how you do it between Edzak and Miguel. A little bit of tyre rubbing going on, which is dangerous stuff in these conditions. Further down, I can see cars just sorting themselves out. Close battles up and down the grid, as you always expect in Monza. Banks, possibly one of the closest cars to another as they head towards Ascari. Will he chance a late move? Pit stop for Casper's gone onto Winters, the first car to blink onto intermediate tyres, and Kaizachi and Supermug, of course, actioning their repairs. Jason managed to carry on. Let's go back up to the front of the grid though, because 310 separate our leaders as they head through Parabolica, and Pachuca looking for a good tow down the start-finish straight here. Getting a good tow, it might not be enough. DRS has been enabled despite the falling rain. We'll see. Keep an eye on Casper. He's got a 5.2 second gap to the car in front. Pit stops for Maciek Goldzik and racing us with Waffles getting the fastest lap. All of a sudden, Waffles still on soft tyres, and we'll see what particularly Goldzik can do. Of course, the pit stops have messed up that gap. No, we'll say 5 seconds will be roughly where he is. So will he suddenly start picking up the pace and dropping that gap? Now Miguel has settled into a rhythm. He's started to come up behind Pachuca and make this a three-way battle for the lead. Edzak and Ivan Beloff just dropping back and will squabble between themselves. But yeah, early intermediates for Casper, the first car to make that decision. I don't know if the rain is going to worsen. The gap is hovering still around that 5 second mark for Casper, but the three leaders out in front in the best track position. We've got Supermug in the pits. He's put on softs again, I think. Ivan Beloff getting by Edzak, but that probably wasn't particularly dramatic as we watch our leaders. Whoa, talk about dramatic. Pachuca sideways through Parabolica. Does he make a decision to pit? No, he's happy on these tyres. But Casper's going quick. Casper's gained 8.8 of a second in a single lap behind Jason. So it does look like intermediates are potentially the way to go. Gap to the leader currently for Casper, 25 seconds, so he could pick up a handful of track positions the longer these guys hold out and wait to pit. Of course, the other problem is that they will be risking a penalty situation by running wide as the car exceeds the level of grip available. Waffles with a 10-second penalty. That's presumably a big corner cut or a collection of corner cuts, or possibly contact. I think it might have been some contact under the VSC. Yes, Buffet on 5 seconds. Those are your penalties so far. We've still got 15 runners on lap 4 of 27. Giroud in the lead from Pachuca. That might not be around for long because this DRS is enabled right now. Very confusing, but he's closed right up to about 2/10 behind Giroud as they go through Ascari. They're going to need to make adjustments to their racing line and rhythm if they're following that closely behind. And Pachuca 4/10 now, down to 3.5 as they head down towards Parabolica for the fourth time into the corner. See potentially a few tire marks from the back of Pachuca with a lockup onto Parabolica, just stamping on the brakes a little bit too heavily. And away we go down the start-finish straight again. The gap opening up because of that oversteer moment for Pachuca. Miguel with a fastest lap recorded. Pachuca closing right down, but not close enough. So we'll see if he can hold it together as they go through the first sector of the lap before they get the next DRS zone. We've got a yellow flag. I think is that Kaizachi, who's close to being lapped, struggling on the wet tyres, and we'll see if anyone is making inroads. I do think Casper has reduced that lead again. No, the gap has opened up again. It's almost even as to who is on the right tyres right now. Talking about even, here's Jesper Fay and Waffles swapping places. Waffles in the Haas, making up so many places from that accident at the start of the race. And here he is, indeed, in P7 now. He was right down at the back of the grid and up to P7 already, doing a fantastic job. Welcome if you're joining us. We're going to have an absolute stormer here tonight. I've got the feeling it's getting really exciting, and there's a lot of drama still to come. We've got cars driving roughly even laps on Inters and Softs. Kaizachi's in the pits. In fact, if anything, the Inters just slowing slightly here. But up at the front, Giroud leads from Pachuca and Miguel. A pit stop, is that from Jesper Fay, or just a change of position? In fact, Jesper Fay dropping back. I wonder if he's had a problem. It looks like he's had an issue. There was a yellow flag in Ascari for a moment, but it's gone. Goldzik now with better momentum, getting by Jesper Fay. Here are your P4. Here's your P4 AlphaTauri, P5 for AlphaTauri as well, with Edzak back in P5 now. But Pachuca and Miguel and Giroud locked in battle, gapping the field now. 5 seconds a gap they've got from the rest of the field, and pulling each other along using the DRS intervals. We've got rain falling, got intermediate tyres fitted, and we've got DRS enabled. A VSC has been enacted. Is that for Jesper Fay's retirement, potentially? He's not retired, he's serving a penalty. That's why he was held up in the pits. So, no obvious drop. It was Kaizachi that's gone from the race order. I didn't see him stop on the track map, unfortunately, but we have lost Kaizachi. Giroud has just extended the gap slightly under this VSC. Maybe the cars behind him were driving to a delta, and Miguel almost loses it on the way out of Ascari as the tyres cool down, and it becomes even harder to get the car through. A drive-through penalty given for Jesper Fay for speeding under the VSC. Easily done, and there you see the difference in delta management from Giroud and Pachuca, as Pachuca gains back all that time he lost. Going slowly under the delta. They go green again on lap 7, and this time it looks like Pachuca's got a great opportunity, a move, perhaps a potential block there from Giroud. The McLaren is ahead as they go through the retifilia. The McLaren should get better traction on the way out of here, but it's Giroud who survived that one. Miguel trying to take the place at the same time. It didn't work out. Will we see Pachuca launch one? He's going to go down the inside. This is a dangerous place to try. He's just ahead though, which gives him the impetus on the track. Miguel trying to get by both of them, runs into the back of the McLaren, who will be through on the outside of Lesmo 1. It's Pachuca holding on, but really it has to go to Giroud here as they head on through Lesmo 2. That means Pachuca should get the DRS, and they go back down the back straight. Well, one of the back straights anyway. I believe it's even got a name, this one. I'll get to that in a second. But Pachuca takes the lead on lap 7 as they head into Ascari. Can they survive around here with different grip levels now? The tyres well past their best. And Pachuca taking the lead again, resuming where he started this race. Frederick says, controversial defending from Giroud. I definitely think a move after the driver behind has moved does constitute a block, and is illegal even in IndyCar. It was before the braking zone, so yeah, slightly, I guess, slightly a judgment call. Massive lockup for Pachuca on the front right as he heads into the retifilia chicane, but just about holding on. Yes, the start-finish straight is called the retifilia tribune. But that's already got a name, really, the start-finish straight. It's the other two I'm looking for. But how do you refer to those two? Kind of difficult. Waffles now with the only penalty still to pay, because the 10-second one for Jesper Fay has been paid, and that is why he's at the back of the grid. I would have thought Giroud there potentially getting a warning at least for that, for these two wide runs as the tyres are fading. Casper's gap now down to 1.3 from Jason. So the softs, because they're past their best and because the rain continues to fall, the Inter's really coming into their own. Now the question will be, what does Pachuca and Giroud and Miguel do in terms of tyre decision here? It's kind of open-ended. Will new softs be the way to go at this stage? Again, Pachuca, big lockup, and you've got to think he needs to do something with his setup or his brake bias, because really struggling. It's going to be chewing up those fronts. A temporary yellow flag, presumably someone going through Ascari, but lap 9 begins and the drivers stay out, trying to wait for a decisive moment to make it happen for a pit stop. Pachuca really struggling on the brakes every time he has to stamp on them. Edzak has gone to the pits on lap 8 on his soft tyres, and we'll have a look. He goes for inters now, so it could well be that inters are the way to go once the softs have gone. We'll see what the consensus is, but someone might buck the trend, try and be on a different strategy. Of course, if you're outside the points, then you've got the opportunity to take a gamble before anybody else. Miguel really dropping back as his soft tyres lose out, but Pachuca managing the wear very nicely indeed. Julius is here for Casper as well. Casper's definitely got a lot of fans, and they join us. I don't know if they're all from Denmark, but if they're from elsewhere, do shout up, or you can always spam the chat with Denmark flags if you wish to. Casper doing well in P8 at the moment, the lead intermediate runner. His gap now down to 7/10. I'll see the cars through the start-finish straight, see if they decide to pit, and then we'll go and ride with Casper, who's closing on Jason, especially given that his fans are here to watch. So Pachuca, will he head into the pits? You've seen him slightly leery on traction on the way out. No, the leader's staying out. What does Miguel do? Also stays out. Casper looks like, oh, big moment. Casper and Jason potentially have come to blows. Casper staying in P8, but Maciek got by. Looks like Goldzik closing in, his teammate closing in now, but Jason turned round in Ascari, so possibly so that's an issue to look at maybe later. Maciek has overtaken, he's now the lead intermediate runner. Goldzik getting by Casper using the DRS. Casper trying the old Ricardo double braking maneuver, but it didn't quite work out. Of course, Ricardo did it into De La Roggia. Waffles has closed up to the back of Banks. Very impressive how Waffles has turned this race around at this point. 9 laps on the majority of the soft runners from the start. Supermug on 6 laps. Yes, Buffet has just gone to softs. Has the track started to dry out? I don't think it has. There's not a lot of spray out there, but it's far from a dry track just yet. No clear dry line, and I do wonder what the soft runners will decide to do. Perhaps waiting for a safety car to help that decision along. Waffles down the outside into Ascari, gets the job done before the braking zone, and up to P5 for the Haas driver after being very near the back after lap 1. He's got a penalty to pay, but so far so good for him. Because we've had a wet race, no one has to pit at all, but I do feel like they will. Giroud is in the pits, so he's pitted from P2, potentially looking for an undercut. Miguel didn't follow suit. Okay, so Frederick's saying that he thinks the car of Casper, that Jason crashed in front of him, and it had nothing to do with him, so he had to get out of the throttle. I don't know if you guys are watching his stream as well. Is that definite, or are you watching this and you just suspect a pit lane entry speed limit issue for Jason there, unfortunately? Giroud then on the intermediate tyres. We'll see how his gap is looking to the leader. Giroud down there in P6, 24 seconds the gap so far, and the soft tyre running leading pair will be vulnerable to an undercut from him. Down to 23 seconds now. Clearly the intermediates faring better at this stage. Banks trying to get back to Waffles, but I don't think it's going to happen at this point. So 0.6 of a second the gap here. Further back in the field after that incident, you've got Racing Us and Supermug with the other Ferrari challenging. Racing Us getting by Supermug into De La Roggia very nicely. Pachuca pits and Miguel stays out, so Miguel really had to do something different, but he's not going to lose out significantly to Giroud, because Giroud was already ahead of him. Where does Giroud come out? Where does Pachuca come out relative? He's behind. You just saw him flash by. So Giroud takes the lead in the pits. It looks like, is that Pachuca dropping back behind Maciek here? And they're on the same tyres now. Maciek getting the first corner all kinds of wrong and having to significantly slow to avoid another penalty. And Pachuca gets by. So in that net second place, Giroud in the first place, and Maciek, Goldzic, Kasper are your next intermediate runners, who will presumably be vulnerable, who will be presumably looking to undercut the leading 4 cars here. Am I a Scottish football player? There is a Scottish football player by the same name as me. I think he might have retired now. I'm not a Scottish football player, I'm sorry. And I'm not Scottish either. But you don't have to be to play in the Scottish leagues, of course. But no, there is a footballer, and it's not me. In fact, some of my early followers on Twitter thought that was who I was, and started following me just because. Fun fact. But Goldzic, P8, ahead of Kasper, closing in on his teammate. Giroud now on intermediates on the attack on the back of the final placed soft runner from the start, Banks. Miguel pits. I'm expecting him to come out behind. Banks now pits, so Giroud gets another place easily. Miguel, where is he going to come back out? I think he might be vulnerable to Goldzic even. In fact, he is. What about Kasper? In fact, Miguel loses out to Kasper as well. So Kasper's been clocking up the quick laps on those intermediates and is in a net 6th place now. That's right. Good facts from ERO. Can anyone remember who the footballers who was using my name, who he was playing for? Was it Midlothian? I can't remember now. Anyway, we're back to the racing as Ivan Beloff and Waffles hold out there on the soft tyres, hoping to have an indication about what they should be doing next with the tyres. Giroud is coming up behind Waffles now, and is only 4, now 3, now 2 tenths behind. So much quicker on traction out of Ascari. Will get the job done, I think, before he even needs DRS. Waffles holding on. This is being fought very hard. This is risky stuff. A dangerous place to put yourself on the outside of the track for Giroud, but he's not a full career of the footballer by my name from ERO. I hope that you got that all off the top of your head and you didn't visit Wikipedia to get his full career history. But Giroud back in the lead then from Pachuca now, 2.4 seconds back. Goldzic 3.4 seconds back, and Maciek, as you can see, close behind. Where's Kasper? He's gone for a pit stop. He's decided to go for softs just when everyone else is switching on to inters. So has he got the right of it? Because the rain, while it's still falling, is not falling very significantly. And Kasper seeming to make decisions ahead of everybody else on the field. How is he going to find the car? I'll cut to him shortly and we'll ride on board and see how the car feels on new softs. But right now there's a battle going on here for P3, the final part of our podium. Goldzic, Maciek and Miguel. 3 different manufacturers. Lots of football fans. Sadly, I can't give you a great deal of content based on football. Not a fan myself, so never really been able to collect information in my brain about football. So here comes Miguel catching up. Kasper's gap is 9.8 seconds to the car in front. Now he's back under running. We'll see this trio down to the first corner, and then I'd love to see what Kasper's car feels like. What can Miguel do with a double DRS situation? Maciek moving to the inside in defence. He's going to have to do it on the brakes. A lock-up on the front. I don't think he's going to get by using these lines. Let's ride with Kasper for a little while and see how the car feels. So certainly struggling to get the power down normally through Parabolica. The question will be, how much quicker can he be? 9.5 seconds the gap now for him. A 3-second penalty for Miguel has dropped him. Will drop him after the race, and he's also dropped behind Edzak, so I'm guessing he's gone wide. Casper, I'm not sure that it's exactly the right time for the wet tyres. It doesn't feel nailed on, but those tyres will be coming up to temperature, will start to get stickier. It's just a question really of, can he reduce the tyre wear? Can he make this work? It's lap 15. He can get this car to the end on these soft tyres, but 9.9 seconds now the gap. I think it's going to be a struggle in the foreseeable future. Miguel going through safely through Ascari for the 15th time as Ivan Beloff is catching. Miguel struggling and presumably went off track and triggered a salt in the wound kind of penalty. Maciek though with a penalty now into the pits, a 5-second penalty. So Maciek and Goldzik have gone into the pits on the same lap. Does that mean that they too think it's time for softs? Yes, they do. Here comes Ivan Beloff with a move using the DRS, needing to complete the move on the brakes, and it's really interesting to see cars running intermediates and using DRS. Very interchangeable conditions here. I don't think I've ever seen a race where soft and inters were running at similar paces, and it's difficult to spot. However, look at Casper, 6.3 seconds now. I think that's because of Maciek coming out of the pits. So I don't want to get too excited about Casper's gap just yet, but he's now in the third place who are with the drivers who are on soft tyres. So unless Giroud, Pachuca and all the others ahead of them decide to stay out on these inters, Casper in a good position. Question about the fastest lap, good question. It's Giroud who's still on intermediates. You see how close Casper's time is. The fastest lap is 2/10 away from an intermediate time. Really fascinating stuff to see from the drivers here. Best stay on interval right now, and we'll try and keep an eye on that. But battle for the lead going on as Pachuca down the inside of Giroud gets ahead. Again, it takes the lead for the third time in the race. Well, I guess he takes it for the second time. He started in the lead, and away he goes. Has he been reserving these inters a little bit better than Giroud? He stopped a lap later, so he's had to make up for 2 lots of undercuts from Giroud. But so far doing well. We've got 10 laps to run for you, and I'm so surprised to see 14 runners still going in this race. Brilliant stuff from the drivers here. Pachuca immediately gapping Giroud. Pachuca enjoying this phase of the race. Giroud less so, of course, especially after being taken again. But plenty left to run. You can still see the rain splashing on the track. It's still raining significantly enough, so it's not clear cut to be dry tyres just yet. Let's have a look. Miguel in P5 with penalties to pay at the moment. Have a quick look at the penalty situation. 2 lots of 3-second penalties for these 2 drivers you can see on screen behind them. Waffles still hasn't paid that initial 5-second plus another 3, then 5-second each for Maciek and Jason. Away they go down the start finish straight. Looks like Miguel's going to have a great run here with DRS. Should be able to get by. Ivan Beloff takes the inside line. Overlap starting, but Beloff managing to run late on the brakes. He'll get a good traction out of this corner, but will it be good enough? The Alfa Romeo just ahead as they head towards Curva Grande. Can he get the rear tyres ahead of the nose of Ivan Beloff? Yes, he does. Beloff will come back though with a mini slipstream on the way out. Gets the inside line sufficiently ahead to take the corner. Miguel, shades of Lewis Hamilton, jumping over the sausage curb on the way out of Della Roggia, and Ivan holds on for another time. Giroud, though, is closing as they head towards Ascari. Didn't quite get it done. A defensive move from Pachuca, but Giroud will have another opportunity as they head down here. Waffles slipping back. The order, I think, might have made a mistake, but I'll stay with our leaders for the time being. Yellow flag, and Jason has retired from the session. You can see the Mercedes stopped on the track just before the Lesmo. I can't offer you, I haven't got a safety car, unfortunately, and the leaders are just past the pits. Now that is really interesting. Let's see, Edzak comes in, a great late call from Edzak. So, whoa, so does Ivan Belov. Gives away a 5-second penalty. It might well have been worth it, but cuts right across Miguel. I think everyone will come into the pits unless they've just stopped. Goldzik stays out. Banks in. Maciek in. What about Waffles? He comes in as well. Casper will come in. He wants fresh softs to finish this race off. Racing us in Supermug. It's just follow my leader at the moment as they come into the pits. For fresh tyres to the end of the race. Edzak chose a fresh set of Inters to see out the race. They've been given a green light there from the safety car to go through. I can't offer you fan boost, I'm afraid, Frederick, but what I can offer you is to try and give you track time, screen time for your favourite driver, if at all possible. And what a total difference in choice. Casper has gone for wets. Surely that's an error. Surely that's a Jeff suggestion, and he didn't clear it. That could be the destruction of Casper's race. Wet tyres. Casper, what's going on? I know it's very difficult when you're making a late call. He now gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. Is he on a bonsai run? Has he just given that up to try and go through and make another pit stop? That might be a strategic move. He needs to be careful, because if he gets too many, he will get disqualified. It's not a situation where he can just get a penalty and pay it. Casper's race over, frankly, at this stage. The leaders now pit and are choosing softs for Pachuca. Giroud serving a penalty. He must have got unseen from me, but Pachuca and Giroud choosing different tyres. Wow, the field is going to be closed together with 6 laps to run, and there's going to be a total rainbow mix of tyres on the cars. Softs, Inters, even wets out there for Casper. Does this mean he will come back round and go in the pits? Surely I would have thought that would be the decision. Miguel going through. Let's have a look. What's Casper up to? He's got a drive-through penalty to serve, which he can't do under the safety car. He does want to change tyres, though, I would have thought. Big error there with not being able to make a new selection. No, he's okay on them. He could have pitted for the new tyres, not for his drive-through, but he could have pitted there, but he chose not to. Maybe he just wants to live with these now and run to the end. He's made decisions ahead of everybody else on track, but it can't be raining enough for wet tyres. However, he might get a boost as the cars restart. His tyres will heat up faster than anybody else's on the restart, and the cars still haven't all got up behind the safety car. In fact, Supermug is way back, far down the grid. Everybody on new tyres with the exception of Goldzik. However, Goldzik tyres should make it to the end without a problem. Really interesting race in terms of tyre strategy. There's been no real right answer. If you think there was a right answer, let me know in the chat. And while we've got a safety car, a reminder to like the video, please. As the boss says, like the video or you get punctures in your next race. That's the prediction anyway. These cars condensing the field now, but I don't think they're close enough to the back of the safety car for us to have the lights turned off as we go through Parabolica again. How far back is Supermug? Yes, Buffet's being lapped, so that's not going to happen. So he's already there. Look, guys, we've got 12 people watching the live chat and only 5 likes on the video. Come on, let's have it. Like away. Also, make sure you've subscribed to the channel while we wait for everybody. New pit stops here for Casper finally, and for Waffles. Casper must be coming in for a change of tyres now. Very confusing strategy. Soft tyres for Casper. He's been on all sorts tonight. He's used the most compounds, I think, of everybody else. Alexandra Larcel says he swears he hates rain even more in Monza. Yeah, I feel your pain, but I'm afraid it's just what we have on offer tonight. Yes, Buffet's been disqualified from the session. I don't know, did he hit the safety car or something? Because that's a pretty big deal. Down to 15th place, not classified. A disqualification for Yes Buffet, out of the race completely now, even though he was already lapped. So not feeling it today by any stretch of the imagination. Still need these two cars at the back to catch the three cars at the back to catch the safety car queue. Really, I don't know if the safety car will decide to come in now, come what may. So a mixture: Pachuca on softs, Giroud in second place on inters, Goldzik on softs, Edzak on inters, and three soft running cars: Miguel, Ivan Beloff and Bankst. Racing Us has inters and Maciek, Casper, Waffles in that order on softs, with Supermug at the back on inters. All over the place in terms of decisions here. The lights are still on the safety cars. We head into Parabolica, so I think because the cars haven't caught up, I think we're going to end up with another run. We'll have 5 laps of racing for you at the end of this race, with a total mixture of tyre choices. The rain continuing to fall just as steadily as it has all race. The track probably getting wetter under the safety car because there's less cars clearing the rain and spread throughout the field. So unfortunately we go for another lap, hopefully the final lap under the safety car conditions. Seen a lot of safety cars this week and I'm kind of sick of it, but that's just what we have to deal with. Supermug closing on the field now. I think the field will finally be condensed enough for Bernd Meinlander to be brought in and we can get back under racing conditions. I think we'll have a 5-lap sprint at the end, and there's always drama when you have cars condensed like this. Fresh ERS, they should have fully harvested batteries. They are on new tyres. They're frustrated under the safety car and they want to finish the race strong, and it's always fireworks at the end of a race like this. Place your bets now as to who is going to profit, which is the right tyre to be on. Tell me what you think, and kudos if you get it right. So here we go with, hopefully this is now the final lap. All the cars under the same queue on the same straight behind the safety car. There's your notification. Thankfully it's coming in, and Giroud and Pachuca in reverse order at the front will restart this race. Pachuca becomes the safety car now, and I hope our drivers don't hit each other at this very difficult moment in a race restart. Very difficult to generate the heat while your driver in front is doing unpredictable things and condensing the field so much. We could do with Pachuca lighting the touch paper pretty soon, otherwise we're going to get accidents and penalties. Goldzik a little bit too far back really to challenge. Remember Giroud on the intermediate tyres with Edzak and Racing Us and Supermug at the back. Pachuca holding up the field a lot here. Goes now. I think that's going to favour Goldzik, and we'll see how the cars fare as they race down towards the first corner. It looks like Miguel getting by over Ivan Beloff there on the restart, but who's going to have the best stopping power? Pachuca voyage into the unknown, a bump and run from the Aston Martin, and used Giroud's car to help slow him down into the first corner. It's all going off a little bit further back. Look at the field swapping places as they race into Curva Grande. 3 wide, it looks like. Is that Casper up a couple of places? Waffles going wide and drifting through Curva Grande, and they race down into Della Roggia. We've got close racing at the front. We've got 4 or 5 cars all in a line with each other here. as they head towards the Lesmos, and it's all action. It's impossible to track everybody's movements. Edzak up to P3. Giroud is 3/10 back from Pachuca. I think they will get DRS the next time they cross the line. So Pachuca he's shaped for a defence. He's in the middle of the track and just about holding off this time, with Edzak in third, racing us just ahead of Goldzik. Casper down in ninth at the moment. Looks like it's Inters. Looks like Inters is the tyre of choice for the drivers, as now Edzak threatening Giroud on the outside. Giroud will presumably run him wide here. Giroud using the middle of the track. Edzak will get DRS if it is enabled once we get going. I don't think it has been. I don't know if the game now thinks it's a wet track or not. But further back, let's just see. This is helping Pachuca on the soft tyres. It looks like the Inter's the right tyre to be on, but the fighting going on between second and third places, as Ivan Belov gets by Bankst, Supermug gets by Casper even, and Supermug doing well. Yeah, the intermediate tyre runners, absolutely the tyre to be on after this restart. I told you the track likely to be getting wetter as they run under the safety car, and but looks like Giroud now side by side with Pachuca. This one for the lead into Lesmo 1. Pachuca trying to hold on, but Giroud's got such much better grip. And they go through Lesmo 2. Giroud ahead. Pachuca gapped significantly, now under threat from the AlphaTauri behind of Edzak. Supermug up to P6. What a restart after being completely out of it. Almost lapped in P6 after this one. Lap 24 of 27. We've got 3 to go now, guys, and this is going to be a showstopper to finish, with Pachuca now trying to hold on to second place. He's 3/4 of a second back behind Giroud, and it's closer in the battle behind him. A big contact from Edzak, touches the back of the McLaren, turns around into the Parabolica and will drop down. He ends up in the gravel even, and unfortunately, an unsafe rejoin, absolutely trashing Waffles' race, as Waffles had to hesitate on the way into Parabolica, and eyebrows raised from Edzak with that rejoin. That was very unsafe. Whether he was ghosted or not, that was not fair on the other drivers. Casper heading to the pits, hoping for a safety car. He's changed onto what? Is he going to change tyres? I can't be sure. Pachuca going very slowly. He's obviously made an error going through the Retifilia chicane. Up ahead though, Supermug in P3 overtakes for second place. I can't quite believe this one. Ivan Belov dropping down into P4. I think he might have some kind of damage, but Giroud leads from Supermug. Giroud an 8.3 second gap, but Supermug from the back of the field up to P2 with 2 laps to go on those intermediate tyres. Now Pachuca managing to resume battle. He's stayed in third place. It was Ivan Belov with a problem on the way out of Retifilia that caused a big hesitation. I couldn't quite tell what it was, but Giroud currently walking away with this one. Casper went on, he deserved his drive-through, so he wasn't changing tyres, just the drive-through penalty being served at the earliest opportunity. Well, no, actually, he could have served on the close of the safety car. But Pachuca, you can just see how hampered he is on these soft tyres. Thankfully, he's got 3 soft runners behind him, racing us, closing on Goldzik further back. Edzak getting by Bankst, and it's just action up and down the field, except at the very front. The 10.4 second gap now for Giroud, who's just decided to drop the hammer, and he's away from the rest of the field. Goldzik, still no DRS for our drivers, has been awarded, so the game deciding now it is a wet race, despite no real change in conditions. A move up the inside from racing us on Goldzik. Goldzik using every inch of the track. Waffles with a 5-second penalty. I think he's going to retire. I think he's probably pretty crazy. Oh, out go! Racing us from the race. He's out. Contact through Curva Grande. Goldzik just about holding onto the car. Kaizachi's left the session, but he'd already retired, and racing us out. A yellow flag. Does that mean a safety car or a VSC for that stricken car of racing us? You can just see him on the left there. We saw him clatter into the wall. It's all going wrong. I think we're too late for a safety car, despite what happened in my race I was doing last night. where we had a safety car on the penultimate lap. But Ivan Beloff now close behind Edzak. He shouldn't go by. He shouldn't pass him because of Edzak's championship position. Paducah from third position, spins in Ascari and struggling to hold on. This is where everybody's tyres are gone, but Giroud's out of the race. Unbelievable. Giroud out of the race. What happened through Parabolica? He had a massive lead. Was he pushing for fastest lap? Where is he? There he is. Destroyed car on the inside of Parabolica. Supermug. This could be a famous race for Supermug from being right at the back, almost lapped in this race. What is going on tonight with Supermug now leading the race by 4 seconds? Pachuca losing the grip on the car. I think the track is so much wetter than it looks to the naked eye. But the two runners here, Edzak, good in a good strong position in the championship, currently P2. I can't believe this one. We're on the final lap of the race. Currently, fastest lap goes to Giroud, who will be classified 10th potentially and might hold on to that because he went out in the penultimate lap. Often you can get classified, but just unbelievable development. Supermug a 3-second penalty, and he's got a 3.9-second lead. He's going to really struggle to hold on to this one. That's the big one to watch at the end of this race. What can Edzak do? 3.4 seconds the gap now. The rest of the gaps have opened up. Goldzik down, Kasper's in 7th, Banks in 4th with Maciek, his teammate, in 8th, getting good points for Ferrari, but it's AlphaTauri all the way tonight in terms of the championship. Supermug with one of the most famous drives is now 3.3 seconds, the gap to Edzak. Can he hold on to the end of the race? This one's going to go right down to the end. It would be a photo finish if they were together. 3.2, 3.3. How's it going to be through Parabolica? Supermug looking cautious on the way in. It's 3.0 seconds, 2.9. What's it going to be as they come to cross the line? Supermug crosses the line first and doesn't win the race. It's Edzak picks up the win right at the end with that penalty count back and a poor trip through the Parabolica for Supermug. But from right near the back earlier on in the race, Supermug up to P2. Edzak, incredible stuff there with winning the race right on the final corner with Banks in 3rd for Ferrari. Ivan Beloff, we had an issue with one of the cars promoting Banks. It was Ivan Beloff who had a problem on the final few corners. I'm afraid I missed that with watching the gap up at the front, but Pachuca in 5th, not a great result given where he started tonight and where he ran most of the race. Miguel in 6th, Maciek in 7th, Kasper coming home 8th. So Aston Martin at the back of the order, getting 8th and 9th places, but that was nail-biting and incredible. Giroud says he hates his life. That's a little bit strong, but I can understand the frustration tonight. Absolutely incredible stuff to finish this race out. I'll try and let you know how the drivers are faring here. But what a finish to the race. I think what we're waiting for is someone's ghost to finish the race, unfortunately. Kasper says, why is he always so unlucky? Wow. Amazing stuff. I think the boss says Goldzik can do donuts at the end of the race. I can see reports coming, says the boss. There he is doing his donuts for you. Lots of capital letters, lots of angry drivers. Giroud saying we don't talk about this race, it never happened. Yeah, you can understand that. The end of that race was just something else. Banks gets driver of the day. Personally, I'm going to give it, from me, the driver of the day decision would, if I had a say in the vote, and I don't think I really do, but if I had a say, I'd be giving it to the Mercedes driver there, Supermug. But Edzak lifts the trophy. That will help his championship. It will help AlphaTauri's championship as well. Incredible stuff. I hope you've been enjoying this one. Go ahead, give us a like on the video, please. Remember, if you want to follow me, you can do so on Twitter at WebORed5. I do roughly 6 to 7 races a week, so you'll be able to see all the output there. Giroud has uninstalled the game. He claims people asking for a redo, a mulligan. I haven't got it in me to do another one of those. That was incredible. I need to lie down now. Edzak wins. Super Mug second. I think an incredible drive given where he was at different points in the race. But Banks with a 10-place gain for Ferrari. Ivan Beloff, Pachuca from P1 to P5. Miguel, Maciek, Kasper making brave tyre decisions all night long. They just didn't work out at the end. And Goldzik was your final actual finisher. Giroud, classified 10th with the fastest lap, will get 2 points out of tonight, but it could have been so many more. Then Racing Us Waffles, Jesper Fay, Jason and Kaizachi out of the race at earlier points and will not get a classification, will be listed as DNF. Just incredible stuff. Hope you enjoyed that one today. The boss has been kind enough to put my Discord link in the description of the video as well if you do want to talk about hiring me or just follow my output and or leave a recommendation. I collect them there as well. But that was a great one. Thank you so much everybody for taking part. Make sure that you support the league, make sure you support the admins and especially the boss who gives up so much time, and drop a thank you to anyone involved in running and hosting your race, however your race went today. Yeah, really hope that that you enjoyed it today. We really enjoyed having everybody watching. Thanks for sticking with us right to the end. Share this one on socials because this was one for the ages. Definitely going to be up there for my race of the week. I'll let you know on Wednesday my decision on race of the week. But from me, Webbo, from everyone involved at ERO, thank you so much, and we will catch you on the next race day.